to Legal Matters with the American Law Firm and WIFR. I'm Mike Garrigan with 23 News, and our guest is attorney John Hansen with the American Law Firm. As I mentioned earlier tonight, Legal Matters is a half-hour informational and news call-in show devoted to a variety of legal topics of interest to State Line viewers. We have attorneys standing by right now to take your call at the number on your screen who will provide you with free information regarding your issue. So call now and throughout the next hour. We have a unique presentation for you tonight. Attorney Hansen will be answering various questions, frequently asked questions in fact, about certain topics of law. Stay tuned and see what kind of topics we hit as we go through common questions the law firm receives. Before we get started tonight, however, I'd like to remind our viewers of the multiple practice areas that the American Law Firm concentrates in. The American Law Firm is a general practice law firm that concentrates in divorce and family law, bankruptcy matters, personal injury claims, criminal traffic and DUI issues, wills, trust and probate matters, and real estate and business transactions. So please feel free to call tonight and discuss any of these practice areas with the attorneys that are standing by. Now on to tonight's show. And first, John, why don't you tell us a little bit about American Law Firm?
Sure. Well, thanks first for having us on the show. Yeah. Our law firm is based in Rockford, and we're near the intersection of Mulford and State. Like you mentioned, we're a general practice firm, which means we have several attorneys that work in several different areas of law. And one thing I'd like to mention is there's a reason why we're called the American Law Firm. We believe in the American values of honest hard work and respect for individuals, no matter their background, no matter their problems. Just like our country started with a Bill of Rights, we have a client Bill of Rights that provides them with respect for their case and timely responses to their questions and timely work on their case. And so we believe that kind of lives out the American values that we try to represent.
Sure, and not everyone goes to a lawyer. People go to a doctor all the time, but not everyone has gone to a lawyer. What should people expect? What should clients expect when they visit American Law Firm?
Sure, I mean, part of the Bill of Rights I'm talking about is a couple things we offer to clients. One is that we provide free consultations to any prospective client in any area of law that we practice in our office. Secondly, we offer simple flat fees, which is dollar figures for an amount of work, which is very budget friendly for clients and an amount of money they can kind of budget for. And also we provide payment plans to some clients who are in a financial hardship. And I do want to reiterate that we have attorneys standing by right now answering calls on that phone number on the screen. And I know it's going to be busy when people call, but if they keep trying to call, they can get through and hopefully talk to somebody tonight.
Yep, a lot of people have questions. And let's now go to some of those commonly asked questions. The first one deals with family law. How is legal custody different from physical custody?
That's a common question. Legal custody in a family law sense refers to the decision-making power of the parents, meaning decisions about medical treatment with doctors and decisions with education. And usually that's held jointly in a family law case, meaning both parents have access to the pediatricians, the coaches, the principals, things like that. Now, physical custody refers to the parent who has a majority of the parenting time during the week. That's where the kids will spend most of their time during the week, and that parent does all the parenting chores. The other parent who doesn't have physical custody will typically have visitation. So this distinction is vitally important because physical custody, depending on where it goes, affects a lot of things in a family law case.
Now, another question you've received comes out of estate planning. One, for instance, my mother recently died without a will. What does the law require me to do, and what is the difference between a will and a living will?
Okay, well, if someone dies without a will, there's a statute in Illinois that provides for where that person's estate goes and who inherits their property. So if you don't have a will and you pass away, the law takes over, if you will, and provides for where that stuff goes. So it's vitally important to have a will done so you can control that process. Between the difference between a will and a living will, a will obviously sets out where your property goes when you die. Also, for people with children, the will can say who's going to be their guardian of their kids if something happens to them, the stand-in parent, if you will. A living will talks about your wishes as to when you're terminally ill and you're on life support. And it's your wishes as to whether you want to be kept on life support or you want to be let off. If you don't have a living will, the physicians and the doctors will go to your family and ask them that tough decision.
Yeah.
So it takes that burden off the family.
Okay, that is a tough decision sometimes too. Now, something from bankruptcy, the person says, I need to file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, but I'm told my income is too high to file. What do they do then?
Well, there's still a possibility that they can file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which is that one-time discharge of debts, even if their income is high. because they could pass an evaluation called a means test. And so we'll sit down with clients and go through the means test and see if there's a way to keep them as a candidate for a Chapter 7. If it turns out they can't do it even after that, then there's an alternative type of bankruptcy called a Chapter 13, which is like a payment plan on your debts. You still pay most of your debts, but you're paying it at an affordable dollar figure every month. And besides that, there's an option where if they have some available money, we can actually make deals with certain creditors. We call it a voluntary workout of debts that provides them some relief as well. So many options available.
Okay, I know a lot of people talk about family law. We're going to have a question on that when we come back. But first, a reminder, attorneys are standing by from the American Law Firm right now, so call the number on your screen. Again, if you get a busy signal, just try again, because, again, there is a high call volume. Again, when we come back, more frequently asked questions, including one on family law. Welcome back. It's Mike Garrigan and attorney John Hansen from the American Law Firm, continuing to talk legal matters that affect many state liners. If you want to talk to an attorney right now, live for free, just call the number on your screen, and an attorney from the American Law Firm will be on the other end to answer your call. And we've been talking a lot of frequently asked questions that covers a wide variety of topics. Let's talk about family law for a second here. Do grandparents have rights to custody or visitation?
This is a very, very common question. We get this more and more these days. Illinois law does provide for grandparents' visitation privileges, as I call it. The situation that this entails often involves where the grandparent's child will be absent. So that might be the father or the mother of their grandchild. They might be absent, they might be deceased, or even in prison for a long period of time. That's when the grandparents usually come in and assert their claim. And there's a couple things we have to show in court. We have to prove that the denial of visitation by whatever parent's denying the grandparent's visitation is being unreasonable, and that there's a benefit to the child that the child's not getting by that denial of the visitation. And interestingly enough, the right goes to grandparents and siblings as well, not just grandparents. Oh. So it's a tough battle, but we often do it, and it's a very important question these days.
Absolutely, that's good to know. Another important issue is in terms of financing, and your website talks about your attorney's fees as a flat fee. How does that work?
Yeah, the flat fee is a set amount for a set amount of work. You know, the old alternative would be a retainer, for example, where an attorney would bill from an amount of money, and there's kind of a question mark as to what the bill is going to be at the end of the case. Clients tend to like flat fees because they can kind of budget for how much this is going to cost. And so we often go into that with most of our cases.
Okay, let's move on now to divorce law. Here's a question. My ex-spouse is not following through with court orders in our divorce judgment. What do I do then?
Well, if there's a situation where there's a divorce order and one of the spouses didn't do something they're supposed to do, then normally we'll file a motion called a rule to show cause. Kind of an odd title, but it basically means, Judge, somebody's not doing something they're supposed to do. Right. And the point of the motion is actually asking for the other party who didn't do something to be held in contempt. And that means they're going to be punished in some way and made to follow through with the order. So that's the first stop of enforcement that we'll often look at. And sometimes after the motion's filed, we'll settle the issue between the parties, and other times we'll go throughout the court process.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about criminal defense. If I have some criminal charges in the past, can I get those expunged?
Well, it very much depends on the results of the criminal charges. Certain results in a criminal case, like if the case was dismissed, you can expunge those, and they won't be on your record anymore. Nobody can find them. In other cases, depending on the result of the criminal charge, you cannot do an expungement, but you can still ask for the court to seal the record, which is the second best option, meaning the record's unviewable by certain parties. Expungement's the home run. A sealing is the second option, so it kind of depends on the situation. And like I want to mention, we have attorneys standing by during this show answering questions. If anyone has a question about their criminal defense past, they can call us and we can kind of get an idea of where they are and give them some answers, hopefully. Okay, let's move on to another bankruptcy question. If one spouse files for bankruptcy and the other spouse does not, can the creditors pursue the non-filing spouse? In most cases, no. Unless that spouse took out the debt with the other spouse. Unless that happens, then basically the one spouse who files bankruptcy, that's their own issue, and the other spouse is protected. Okay. Getting a lot of questions in. Another one, if I bought a house and recently found out problems with the basement that were not disclosed by the sellers, is there anything that that person can do? Yes. When you close on a house, one of the pages you get from all the documents is a seller disclosure that where they say if they know of any problems, for example, like a basement leaking or something like that, if they don't disclose problems that they knew about, the buyer can bring a cause of action against the seller. But the problem with this area of law is that there's only a 1-year statute of limitations for bringing that claim. So it's vital that any prospective clients contact us, that they get to us quickly so we can jump on the case if that's a problem.
Well, John, we went through a lot of questions, a lot of different areas. Is there anything else you'd like to convey to the audience?
Just thanks for watching, and I want to wish everybody a happy holidays. Yeah. And again, there's a reason why we're called the American Law Firm. We really, truly believe in American values of honest, hard work, and respect for every client, no matter their background and no matter their problems. And we do free consultations. I invite people to call us and tell us about their situation, and we'll give them some pointers and answers.
All right. I'd like to extend a happy holidays to you too as well, John.
Thank you.
All right. Well, moving on, we will have a closing statement when we come back.
From the Crosby Law Firm family
and the American Law Firm family,
we wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
We want to thank you for watching our Christmas edition of Legal Matters.
Our law practice in particular, and the legal profession in general, is a calling and not merely a job. We are dedicated to helping you problem solve in a cost-effective, professional, and compassionate manner. The Christmas season is supposed to be a time of joy for family and friends. So let us help you resolve your issues and bring peace to you and your family during the holidays.
Now, we have some of the best and brightest attorneys throughout this northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin area standing by right now to take your calls. So please pick up the phone, give us a call at the number on your screen.
And now, please take a moment to enjoy our Christmas greeting to you and to your family.
It's called One Solitary Life, and it's written by Dr. James Allen Francis.
He was born in an obscure village, the child of a peasant woman. He grew up in still another village, where he worked in a carpenter shop until he was 30. Then for 3 years he was an itinerant preacher. He never wrote a book, he never held an office, he never had a family or owned a house. He didn't go to college, he never visited the big city. He never traveled more than 200 miles from the place he was born. He did none of the things one usually associates with greatness. He had no credentials but himself. He was only 33 years old when the tide of public opinion turned against him. His friends ran away from him, and he was turned over to his enemies and went through the mockery of a trial. He was nailed to a cross between two thieves. While he was dying, his executioners gambled for his clothing. When he was dead, he was laid in a borrowed grave through the pity of a friend. 20 centuries have come and gone, and today he is the central figure of the human race, the leader of mankind's progress. All the armies that ever marched, all the navies that ever sailed, all the parliaments that ever sat, all the kings that ever reigned, put together, have not affected the life of man on earth as much as that one solitary life. And although hundreds of years have passed, we still celebrate the birth of that baby from Bethlehem, and the wonderful happiness of that first Christmas still lives in our hearts.
We hope you enjoyed these profound and inspirational words concerning the birth of Christ and his time on earth. So once again,
Merry Christmas